all Americans can feel the power of this day and learn from our history and celebrate progress and grapple with the distance we've come.
President Biden signed legislation establishing Juneteenth as a federal holiday, marking the first time we are observing it as a country, celebrating the day that enslaved African Americans in the U.S. learned they were free. Rob Smith joins me now to discuss, a first contributor and host of Rob Smith is Problematic. He's here with me in studio.
In studio. Gotta love it. Good to see you too.
What's your top line? What are your feelings about this?
So my take on this is this. Okay, so there's a lot of conservatives right now that are conflating Juneteenth and the celebration of this actual real part of American history with critical race theory. And they're wrong about that, right? Because critical race theory has nothing to do with actual history. It's all about making white kids feel bad about themselves and making black kids feel like victims. And so the left is kind of trying to conflate this with actual African-American history, the critical race theory. So they're wrong. And so I think that conservatives are getting it wrong because we need to be celebrating Juneteenth. We need to be saying that this is an example of American greatness, an example of the fact that as Americans, we are always trying to create a more perfect union, and slavery is a part of American history that we need to talk about, right? So I think that it's a good thing that it's a federal holiday now. Now, remind you, last year when President Trump was running for re-election, this was one of his campaign promises, was to make this a federal holiday. It just so happened that unfortunately, he wasn't reelected, and now we've got Biden and cackling Kamala here to sign it. But the conservatives right now that are complaining about Juneteenth, if they're complaining about it now and they weren't complaining about it when former President Trump was talking about it on the campaign trail, it's a little hypocritical.
Right. I mean, you should have, if you wanted Juneteenth to be a federal holiday a year ago, you should still have wanted it to be, right? And I think that's a fair standard. Or if you didn't want it, you can say, right, I'm saying, but either way, there should be consistency. It shouldn't be about who the president is, one or the other. But it sounds to me like you agree. Look, I think everyone agrees that this is commemorating something that is part of the greatness of the American story, as in the realization of all men are created equal. Part of that mission that is still ongoing. But so your concern, it sounds like, is the politicization of it now under the Biden administration, and perhaps how it will be framed as a holiday going forward, or why now, essentially, I think some people are asking.
That is the concern, and we've seen it all, and I said this, conservatives are always sort of like wading into these traps that are created by the left, right? So as soon as a conservative comes out and says that they have an issue with Juneteenth, then the left goes, well, look, they have an issue with Juneteenth. They don't want to talk about the contributions of black Americans to the society, and that's why they don't want critical race theory in schools, right? So one thing has really absolutely nothing to do with the other, but the left is trying to conflate all of these together to make conservatives look bad and to make conservatives seem like they don't really care about African Americans. But you're right. It's something about ideological consistency. If you were against this last year when President Trump was talking about it on the campaign trail, you should have been against it then. If you were for this last year when President Trump was talking about it on the campaign trail, you should be for it now. And there's a lot of faux outrage conservatives that are just reflexively anti-left that are being against this right now, and they don't realize the amazing opportunity that it presents to beat the left at their own game. Remember, these are the people that spent all of 2020 trying to tear down statues, trying to erase American history. So now we have a chance to say this is a part of American history, and this is the part of American history that we should be teaching, not critical race theory.
Here's Joe Biden speaking about this just last week. Got his facts a little bit mixed up, it seems.
He's going down at Texas on Juneteenth, right? The first major massacre, literally speaking, of the Black Wall Street, right? Years ago.
Just to be clear, I'm sorry, that's last year. But just to be clear, Biden. So now Biden's the guy who's going to get credit for signing legislation. There he is conflating the Tulsa massacre with the Juneteenth holiday.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess the cue cards must have gotten mixed up.
They must have. And the thing about it is that this is the left's playbook. So Biden and Harris, like, they're going to get all of the glory about this. And this is something that's been bipartisan for a long time. Like we said, former President Trump was talking a lot about that on the campaign trail. So now they get the glory of look, see what we're doing for you, black people. We're doing this for you. By the way, while black people continue to get shot and killed in dim machine run cities, while inflation continues to go go up. While all these things that are happening in society are negatively affecting all Americans, not necessarily black Americans in particular, but now they get to say, hey, look, we're doing something for you.